And this time in a more normal location than the animal park we were at last night. Animal education was unbelievably beautiful, and I miss my Franklin, who spent a good deal of the night sitting on my lap, and we learned so much about biology and animals. To learn so much about hypocrisy that it will not surprise us because it just should have been anticipated when they raided Donald Trump's house several months ago to look for classified documents, something that they had never done to any other president. These disputes about documents, it turns out when you go through everything now in the history of it, go back to President Eisenhower. My goodness, President Kennedy, President. However, President Crook has a problem. You might have thought that if he accused Trump of it, he did it, because so far this projection seems to work almost 100%. If they accuse Trump of something, usually falsely, they've actually done it. But this one is really very, very revealing as to the crooked, screwed up, dishonest, cheap government we have. Joe Biden had classified documents that he didn't turn over to the government. And he's had them for 8 years, not a year. He's had them at a private think tank that has no government type security that we know of. He's got a second batch that was found today. They're not telling us where that one is because I guess they got burned on the first one so badly. Here's the phony bum who said that, oh, how irresponsible it was. I mean, how irresponsible it was for Trump to have misplaced those classified documents at the highly Mar-a-Lago, which is maybe more secure than the White House. I mean, that's ridiculous. There was no allegation that Trump was trying to use them for some nefarious purpose. There was no allegation he was trying to give them to anyone. There were no allegations trying to use them to profit by writing a book or profit in any other way. This has gone on with other presidents. President Obama still hasn't digitized his records. Don't know what he's waiting for. I've already digitized mine. And sorts of records that he possesses. And presidents possess these records when they write books. But, no. They were going to use that as a way to invade his house, invade his castle. It is like a castle, I guess. And go into his marital bedroom and take everything. Not allowed anyone to photograph it, not allowed anyone to watch him. Who knows what they took? I mean, given the crimes they've committed during the course of the investigation of Donald Trump and me and others, I can't assume they didn't take those things. My goodness, this is the group about Russian collusion. It's the group that lied about Russian disinformation and withheld relevant evidence from the American people that would have no doubt deprived Biden of the presidency. I mean, the hard drive is a compendium, crime after another committed by Joe Biden. It just takes some simple reading to figure it out and looking at documents. And if you don't have that, if you don't have some kind of an imagination, think it out, then later and takes you right through it. I paid my father, I paid all the expenses of the house for 30 years and still had to give half my income to my father. So he helpfully narrates to you the RICO case. Then you see all the bills going back and forth, all the things paid for. His family, which turns your stomach that they're in the White House. I mean, that's all there. It's all there. And here they are trying to put Donald Trump in jail for violating the law about classified documents. And boy, do they have a problem. They have a problem because the law that applies to the president is the Presidential Records Act. And the Presidential Records Act does have some very strict provisions that it's the property of the National Archives, not the president. The president can borrow it as personal papers. He has to work something out with them. And when they want them back, he has to give them back. And there was a dispute about giving them back. Never a real allegation that they were taken by anyone, or we really don't know the nature of how sensitive they are or not. We do know there's not been a single allegation of wrongdoing with respect to them. Nothing destroyed, nothing hidden, nothing shown to anyone, nothing used for any purpose other than they just happened to be there and there was a record-keeping issue. The statute that covers it, the Presidential Record Act, contains no criminal penalties. In order to find a criminal penalty, they have to go into another statute. They have to go into another statute, which is called 18 United, you see it up there, 18 United States Code, Section 271. It's a very, 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 very significant legal question as to whether this applies to the President of the United States. Number one, this law existed when the Presidential Record Act was passed. And the Presidential Record Act does not pick up the criminal penalties in this statute. So the question is, did Congress intend for there to be criminal penalties for the president, since it is quite different for the president and for someone who works for the United States, since the president gets to classify and declassify. So the idea that he would be committing a crime if he had a classified document in his possession at home or something is somewhat different than it would be for a government employee. So there's a question. There are any criminal penalties for President Trump for what they regard as his holding classified documents he shouldn't have, I guess, is the charge. This would have to be the statute that he concealed it, removed it, mutilated it, obliterated, or destroyed it with the intent to do so for the statute to be satisfied. And you would have to you'd have to show that this statute, which has never been applied to a president, hasn't been in fact preempted by the Presidential Record Act, which means overtaken by it. Now, here's the other issue. This statute clearly applies to the vice president. The vice president doesn't have the power to classify and declassify. So it looks like Joe is pretty much violated 18 United States Code, Section 271. Let's read it in relevant part where you see the red underlines. Whoever having the custody of any such record, I mean, he did. We know there were 10 in one place and now a whole batch more in a second place. And we think a whole batch more in a third place. He sure had custody of them. Removes it, which he did. He removed it from the White House and kept it removed for, looks like 8 years. They may have moved it around. He can be in prison for more than 3 years or both, but look at this one. And shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding office. Joe may have worked himself into a big problem here by raising this thing on Biden. Seems like he's always doing the things he's accusing Trump of doing, right?
Biden's creating a big problem for himself by raising this issue with Trump, is what you meant.
Here's very, very, very simple. This law possibly doesn't apply to Trump because Trump's the president. There is a law for the president. The law for the president does not contain a criminal penalty. Assume that this applies to the president, even though Congress didn't say that it did. And there's nothing in here that says that it does apply to the president. there's nothing in here that says it doesn't apply to the president. But with the criminal statute, you want specificity, and the honest answer is it's ambiguous as to whether it applies to the president. So normal criminal construction of a statute would be, this does not apply to the president. Not so the vice president. It applies directly to the vice president. So if Biden, in fact, those documents and kept them outside of the federal government at this Penn something center, which is a private institution with no known security of any kind, that he would be liable for 3 years in jail and forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding another office. Now, I don't know if forfeit the office would apply to the president. That'd be quite a thing, that he'd be taken out of office for doing this, but I don't know. You know what it turns out that it seems like he does everything he says Trump did. Like he claimed that Trump bribed Zelensky, and of course Trump didn't offer him anything and didn't pressure him and didn't require him to do anything, but he did that with Poroshenko. He bribed him. And the Democrats and he claimed that Trump was colluding with the Russians. Well, they were colluding with the Ukrainians, and Trump wasn't colluding with the Russians. I mean, it's on and on and on that they're engaging in criminal projection, which is a sickness that many professional criminals have. And Biden surely fits the category of professional criminal, now demented.
Mayor, we're getting some questions regarding the donors to the University of Pennsylvania and the what is called the Penn Biden Center for.
It is diplomacy engagement. That's diplomacy is the thing that he never got right in 35 years in public office, according to Secretary of Defense Gates. So so this guy who was, according to Gates, one of our more distinguished defense secretaries and his colleague, failure at diplomacy, he was never right about it, has a center to study it. What do they study? How not to do it?
So, Mayor, they want to know if these donors can we make that public, or is there a way to get?
Can I make it public?
Can anyone? I mean, if there's someone that could, it would be.
Well, I don't know who they are. I did hear that China donated to it. His patron, the Chinese communists. But I mean, I would just add to the 40, 50, 60 million they paid him and his family to buy them. I mean, is there any doubt that he's compromised by China? I really don't realize he's compromised by China. Will you please get someone to be the trustee for your money so that people don't just take it from you? I'm gonna worry that you're so darn naive that you're a mark. You know what a mark is? Do you know what a mark is? A mark is someone who is the focus of a con man. You know, you see someone very naive, and if you don't realize that Biden was taking this money as bribes at this point, particularly when his son said that he had to give half his salary to him, if you don't realize that, then you should really someone so that you don't have your pants taken off in a negotiation, which I would not like to see happen to you for all kinds of reasons. So,
Mayor, we're getting a lot of questions about this. How do you see this playing out?
Well, they're gonna have a hard time fixing this. They're gonna try real hard, like they fixed Hillary. They're gonna try real hard to fix it. I mean, the Democrats haven't done a legitimate criminal justice investigation now in years. I mean, they fix every case of theirs so that they don't get prosecuted, and then they go and ahead and will prosecute Republicans for anything, things they make up, things that they, as we pointed out, project, things they did. They say Republicans did it, and then sometimes they get a jury that's 100% like Trump wacko, or like in Washington, D.C. or something like that, and they'll convict or acquit on anything. I mean, the whole January 6th thing has become a very sick situation, although not perfectly analogous, but beginning to approach the human rights violations of the Japanese internment. People are being held. People are being held forever. Many of them on minor charges of entering, and we're not even sure they entered illegal. We're not sure that Ashley Babbitt, who was killed, entered illegally. We know she entered. She could have entered with a police officer very kindly showing her the way, which many people. So I would say that this revelation of Biden having improperly handled classified material when he was so harsh on Trump and wanted him put in jail for it should result in his going to jail, because actually the jail penalties apply more completely to him than to the president. Let's see if he goes to jail. The statute is there. It says he's forfeits his office, never has another office again. He's out of office, he can go to jail. Good.
Mayor, do you think the Democrats leaked this information? Repeat the question.
Do I think Dr. Maria would like to know, do I think the Democrat information, it sure is a working hypothesis, I'll tell you that. I could not reject it. I couldn't possibly reject it.
And I think Dr. Maria mentioned earlier as well, is it possible that the Democrats themselves are trying to get Joe Biden ahead of 2024, seeing him as someone who cannot win?
But, you know, the whole thing about whether he can or he cannot win begs the question of, he's not a sound mind. I mean, how's he going to get to the? Look at the.
He won in the basement because they cheated.
Yeah, but when he was in the basement, he was able to come out and talk occasionally. He goes in the basement 2 years from now, he may never come out. You know what happens with dementia better than I do, and it looks like he's got a pretty darn serious case of it. He keeps repeating their uncle, and they're dead for 10, 12 years. I mean, he refers to Harris as President Harris constantly. When you listen to him, he's constantly mumbling, which is a sign of dementia. And it gets worse. And there's a point at which you can't function. And we got 2 years to go. That's a lot of time, given the condition. I mean, this is a guy who's in Cambodia and thinks he's in Colombia today. What's he going to be like a year from now? So I think if you're a smart Democrat, you say to yourself, what are the odds we can run him? I mean, they can't, there's a certain point at which they can't even do what they did in 2020. He's got to come out and say something. He can't come out and go.
Well, could it be worse than 2020 for them? Could Democrats know more than we know? Or, well, not more than you know, Mayor, but could they see some of this coming out? I mean, this man, as the mayor has been saying for years, is one of the most corrupt people in this country. And maybe they're waking up to the fact we can't keep the lid on this forever.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
You guys are making the case stronger now. No, really, because if you think about it, right, the press is never going to publish this if they don't want it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they held up things significant than this. They held up $3 million from Moscow, $31 million from China, partnership with Whitey Bulger's nephew, Hunter admitting that he gave 50%, not 10%, to his father. A flat out on 2 pieces of paper money laundering transaction in which Joe Biden is guilty of sin. All all the meetings with the foreign business people that Joe claims he never saw or never got to know. So they left all that out. Why wouldn't they leave this out? This would just be another one thing to leave out. Yeah, there's a really good question. They see the end coming, and they want to preempt it because they know how stubborn Joe and his greedy family will be about his staying there. I mean, he doesn't have a family where there's much love between the family members, because if you loved him, you sure as hell wouldn't put him through the complete fool that he's made out of himself in the last 2 or 3 years, you know, going up the steps and falling down, going up the steps, and wrong name, and then the perverse behavior which could be discovered. I mean, you see a little indication of it where he smells little girls' hair, tells her he likes it when little girls or little boys touch the hair on his legs. And I mean, you got a family here of, yeah, not everyone, but enough so that it fills up pages and pages.
And well, Mayor, now with a new GOP House majority, and we are seeing some early aggressive actions. What may be some aggressive, what some may consider aggressive moves, what we would consider things that need to be done. And when it comes to investigating Hunter, looking into, I mean, the Vice President of the United States, one of the last places he goes is the Ukraine back in, what was it, 20?
Well, I mean,
the whole world, get the whole world.
Would you like to know why he went?
So much,
I think I remember it without going back to my notes. That one I knew about before the hard drive. He went back to make sure the case would not be reopened, because it was very hard to get it closed on Zlochevsky. It was very easy to get it closed on Hunter, and all Hunter was a conduit of money to him, and they didn't want to prosecute him. He was the real. The Ukrainians are well aware of the fact that Joe Biden is the real defendant. They don't think that Sammy Gravano is the real defendant. They realize John Gotti is. Our idiots make this the Sammy Gravano case, not the John Gotti case, because they cover up for him constantly. But this is all about Joe. It's an interesting picture with him hiding behind the curtain there. The dummy that he is.
So with the new House GOP majority, that also plays into the possibility that this is a move by the Democrats, or who, you know, I like to call it the permanent, right? Anything to keep Trump out. Biden's not going to be it. The guy is as corrupt as all hell, and you have Mayor Rudy Giuliani, the guy we can't take. You know, the guy won't go away. He keeps bringing this up, and now it's bubbling to the surface. We got to take him. We got to take out Joe Biden. You know, let's get Gavin Newsom in there. Probably
and
not Pete Buttigieg at this point.
So there's
somebody else.
I think you're right, Newsom. He's got that Hollywood look.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like he's almost two movie stars.
The slimiest. You look for the slimiest, phoniest, most hypocritical, honest, intellectually vapid human being possible, and you come up with that weirdo who, remember when he had an affair? He claimed that he was a drug addict and went for rehab as a drug addict.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He was married to Kimberly Hill.
Oh, Newsom.
Yeah. He's got an interesting. I always thought I think that was a situation where in weird San Francisco, they easily forgive you more for being a drug addict, you know, than like everybody is. So the wife might be a little different. Might have caused him more trouble. Who knows? Well, I don't think it was kind of weird. I don't think he was actually a drug addict. I think he used it as a cover so that he could blow away the publicity for having double-crossed his wife. Sure. And so, of course, we've heard recently Mayor Pete, as he's known, I think his chances may have gone down after what we saw today.
He may even have been considering a Senate run in Michigan with Stabenow. That might be out the window now.
I had actually forgotten what he was. Was he mayor of like an apartment building?
I think he may have been like his condo associate.
It's
No.
about as big as one of
It
our.
wasn't even the planes, Mayor. We're now learning Amtrak for a trip from Florida to Virginia took over 37 hours because of delays.
Pete was really on top of it, I'm sure. I mean, Pete.
He's been on vacation on private planes.
And he takes his husband with him
The
to.
Invictus Games.
Can we go back
to the
and
Invictus Games?
never heard?
I'm sure they have a lot to do with transportation.
But can we remind everyone, Mayor, on how, we have America's mayor here, we have Mayor Pete here, everyone how he got the job. It certainly wasn't because of his experience. He got it by trading with Joe Biden. He said, I'll drop out of the presidential race. You make me DOT person. I'll help you win. And that's it. Joe Biden, he trades away all these spots for his own personal gain so he can win the time. If Buttigieg doesn't get out and these other guys don't get out, Bernie Sanders
No,
wins.
they were all. If you go back and look at those debates, that Biden really performed horribly. And they're all looking at each other like there's almost like a
They
little.
didn't speak up.
No, there's almost like a little struggle to really do this to our country. Should we really back out and let this nut job make it?
Well, they don't have spines either. They're like, oh, I'll get a great job. Department of DOT chair, I guess, is something he wanted, which is
A couple
probably
of them actually
gets
attacked
to
him
fly
for
around
being
on a plane.
a couple of them actually attacked him for being mentally deficient. Wonder how many brains are missing. A significant number, a lot, and they keep increasing. They definitely keep increasing. So now let's move on to since we're talking about the whole situation with Biden. Why don't we move on to the full ground stop today, where all airplanes were stopped because the FAA screwed up the NATCOM system, which is the system with regard to obstacles they may face when they go into the air. It ended up acting like a nuclear attack or a terrorist attack would act by just stopping America cold for how many hours was it, Ted? Exactly. Do you know?
For the outage?
Yeah.
I believe it
how
was.
much money did America lose on that incompetent action of the federal government? The FAA is run the apartment mayor, right? In fact, I don't want to say it was an apartment mayor because we've got a hell of a lot of really competent apartment managers here in the city that know a heck of a lot more than little Petey does.
That's right, Mayor. So the FAA issued a ground stop to all departure, commercial, private, anything. If you and I had our own plane and we were trying to get up there to depart, we would not
So
be
is
able
this
to depart.
ground- is
It
this-
stopped everything domestic.
Now, how is it that the way it was described, all information from the NATCOM system?
No TAM.
What?
No TAM.
No.
No TAM. Notice to air missions.
It's notice.
Well, it used to be notice to airmen, NOTAM, NOTAM. And of course, tackling the important issues in 2021, NOTAM, notice to all airmen, was offensive to non-males.
No, let's go slowly here so people get this. So the name is No TAM, right?
NOTAM.
Okay, now, so this means national.
I'm sorry.
I made a funny M there. Let's make a better.
Sorry, I'm going to move it first to get in the
No,
shot.
stay there. Let's get it up first.
No TAM.
Yeah. We want you to pay attention to that M because it's going to change.
Yeah.
No TAM.
move
That's
to
the name of
stage.
the agency, right?
System.
Of the
No,
process.
it's basically, I got to get in the shot.
There's a T. No TAM.
It's got to come over here, Mayor, so we can get it in
Okay.
the camera. Here. Put it
So
here.
this is the NOTAM system.
So that's NOTAM. Notice to all.
Notice.
It's a computer system.
Notice. There's a T they leave out.
Well, the NO is notice.
Notice.
They added the O basically to make it an acronym that works. It's notice to airmen.
Notice to airmen, but this year this became
mission.
This became insensitive.
Insensitive. Apparently is insensitive.
Because they're not all airmen. Some of them are air women.
Air persons.
What about non-binary?
Well, they needed to use the M because they didn't want to change in all the booklets and all the labels. No TAM. They had to use an M.
Who think some days they're female.
So
what do you describe them as?
That's why they got rid of the whole. They're not labeling they're not labeling the pilots.
They didn't want to get
missions.
rid of the M, so they said now it's
missions.
Now
notice to air missions.
Notice to air mission.
So they could keep NOTAM, and the NOTAM system.
That screwed the whole thing up, so it went down.
So the NOTAM system
they made that change, that more gender neutral change. Could that have brought the whole system down?
Well, the system went down. The NOTAM system is a notice to airmen. It's used for every departing flight.
Are we sure it all went down?
Yes, the whole system. Well, no, we're not. That's a good point, Mayor. We're listening to the FAA and what they tell us.
They lie about everything.
They lie about everything. So
shouldn't we actually assume, given all the lying they did about the classified documents and went after Trump and never told us about? Shouldn't we assume they're lying? Wouldn't that be a bet that they're telling? Don't they? The interesting little analysis on critical matters. Does the Biden administration lie more often?
Let's put a picture on there.
Lie more often than they tell the truth.
That's it. So the NOTAM system is something that all pilots use when taking off. It's just basically notes for the what's happening and the departing, where they're departing from along their route, and when they're landing. The FAA claims that system went down, and therefore, that's a nice picture.
That's the Kennedy compound in you and I were at, and did a video reel several days ago.
That's right.
Which is about 2 miles from there.
That's right. We did. And so the systems went down. It's funny because Buttigieg had attacked Southwest Airlines a few weeks ago for having a computer issue. He went off on him.
Just a singular computer. Now his agency.
The whole thing went. They literally stopped all air traffic.
So let's ask the key question: was there a national security issue that they're hiding?
That's the sad part, Mayor.
And what do the insiders say?
The insiders last.
You had a good source this morning, who I think got us up to date on it.
Yes.
What did he? Tell us what he told you.
Don't know for sure. Can't rule anything out. But it doesn't. He would be at this point. He didn't poo-poo the idea.
He just said
he said, look,
he discounted, but he didn't think it was that.
He thought. Well, and I don't know. He thought
they just screwed up.
They would attack. He said, well, it's such an obscure system to go after. However, going after that shut down the whole thing. So
that's pretty amazing. It's amazing that it's so interconnected. You can do the whole thing. It's silos to some extent,
right?
The different notifications. I mean, if you're taking off from LaGuardia, you're going to get different notifications in terms of NOTAM than you would from
LaGuardia,
from O'Hare, right?
Yeah.
Different problems on the runway, different problems on the air.
So there's probably a way you report it and you put it out into the system, right? So you're landing in O'Hare.
There must be some central system that sends this all out.
Because it's data sharing.
And they hit that central system.
Yeah. Yeah. It
just went down, or somebody hacked it.
And that's the thing. They're not telling us. And when you say that, Mayor, you bring up a good sure. When we have a government that lies about literally, I can't think of one thing that they've said recently where it's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like they can't.
Look how they played out. Look how they played out this classified. Look how they played out this classified document thing, making Trump look like he was the only guy to ever do this, and Biden did it.
And like you said, Mayor, as vice president, doesn't have the same. Doesn't carry the same weight as president.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to find out what, I mean, that we may not find out for a year or so what that really was. Maybe even beyond.
We may never know. I mean, the Kennedy assassination, they're still being locked up. So unfortunately, it's just kind of
today. Also, unfortunately, or fortunately, so we can focus on it, was National Human Trafficking Month, or commemorated National Human Trafficking Month, and human trafficking is up exponentially under our entirely incompetent president. And it can truly be blamed directly on him. This is happening because we don't have a border. It's happening because the cartels, the Mexican cartels, run our border. And since thousands and thousands, 4 million people have come in apprehended, somewhere near an equal number have come in unapprehended. They are on the lookout for young, attractive girls. It can be used for the sex trade, can be used for forced labor. They're valuable, and they pull them out of the line and impress them into service if the rest of the family wants help from the cartels, and the cartels can be enormously helpful. They alone can get you into the United States, and they get you in the United States probably without being detected if they really want to do that. Unscrupulous parents, or maybe people who have kidnapped children, just give the children up to them. So let me just give you an idea, like the fentanyl thing, how it skyrocketed because of our catastrophic president. Before 2020, the sheriff of, let's see which county we were talking about here, one of the local sheriffs in Texas, one of the main, one Texas sheriff, and he doesn't identify himself, actually. He stays anonymous. But this sheriff says before 2021, his deputies encountered 1 or 2 cases of trafficking a year. Last year, they dealt with over 77 cases. Now, this is obviously a fairly small county in Texas. That's a lot. Smugglers persuade parents to hand over their children in pursuit of a better life, taking advantage of policies that virtually guarantee the release of the unaccompanied minor to a sponsor in the United States. In 2022, nearly 130,000 such minors were released to a sponsor. New record. The records he sets are the kind of records that, after you're president, you're going to be a very depressed man, because these are records of utter failure, records for murder, records for children being taken into servitude. You voted for him. You can do it again? You vote for the Democrat again? When do they prove to you that they don't know how to govern? My goodness, it's like a disaster. I want to remind you that a police officer died yesterday. The suicide, 12:30 p.m. I guess it was today. It would be today. He jumped from the top of a frack city apartments in Elmhurst and killed himself. And he left a document behind that is really very indicative of suicide, if you ever had to deal with it, and I have. Actually trying to talk people out of it. Please help me. Please love me. Please care for me. Please listen, communicate with me. Please spend time on me. Oh, I mean, somehow, some way, people didn't, or he perceived they didn't. Could be that, could be the latter. And he took his life. Happens more often with police officers, probably than most others, largely because of the pressure of the job. Putting your life at risk every single day is one hell of a job. And if it doesn't take something out of you, you're not human. 4 uncles who were police officers, several cousins, and then a lot of good friends. And I'm telling you, it was disastrous. Here's an interesting one, Ted.
Yes, sir.
The most disrespected group in America, the second most disrespected group in America, is the United States Congress.
Congress is number 2.
Number 2.
There's someone ahead of them.
They are seen as the most unethical and the most dishonest.
Before giving an answer, comment below what you think polls higher than Congress in disapproval rating.
So I'm gonna ask
Joe
you to
Biden
think
is not
a little
on the list.
I want you to think, but I want you to tell me what's the most respected group in America? Profession.
Do we want to do the most respected?
Let's do the easy one. What's the most respected? It gets a
the most respected.
It gets a combined.
Let's give people
79%.
Let's
it
give
gets 29% very high and 50% high.
I know my
79%.
guess, but I don't want to say. Let's give people another 20 seconds here. Mayor, what do you think? I'll have you respond to some of the guesses.
I'll give you a little hint on this. The one that is the most, the one that's the least respected.
People are saying the most respected. We're getting doctor, Marines, surgeon, police, or fire. Someone says
they're very close.
They're very close.
It's a nurse.
Nurses.
A doctor's right there. Teeny bit off.
But I can see why doctors are making
more money.
That's a great answer. I was going to say more decisions, but that might not be true. Right? Doctors, people get mad. You're right.
Doctors and nurses are actually statistically tied.
More money. That's
they are. So they're 79% of the people see them either as high or very high in terms of honesty and ethics. Now, the group that is the lowest.
The lowest above Congress. So politician is
ranked lower than members of Congress for honesty and ethical standards by Americans. Telemarketers.
Telemarketers.
They don't deserve it.
So people were saying
Congress is much worse.
People were saying Congress is below.
No, they're below Congress. But Congress is so low, I don't know how much.
Oh, Mayor, I hate to tell you, someone says lawyers. Oh, my dad's a lawyer. I got lawyers.
No, I'm sure lawyers are there. But I'm talking about the bottom 2. The bottom is telemarketers. Right below the bottom,
I know,
are members of Congress, where only 2% say their ethical standards are very high, and only
2%,
and only 7% say high. 9% of Americans think they have ethical standards at all.
People that are just lonely and that's their phone call for the day. Who are those 9%, Mayor?
9% of the Congress is ethical, so maybe that's the way it comes out. Probably higher than that.
What about telemarketers?
But they are seen. I don't perceive them lying as much as politicians.
And the implications when they lie are a lot lower, right? Maybe I end up with a bad $19.99 product.
Well, it depends. Doesn't it depend? It depends on
Congress.
It depends on what you're.
When Congress lies,
what you're getting.
Sure,
right?
Sure. What are you looking for?
Ooh, this one I put out. This one I put out for fun on one of the social media here. This one here, thing. Rudy Giuliani has swooped in to deliver more dirt on Biden. This was when Biden mentioned me during the debate in 2020, saying I was a Russian agent helping Trump, which turns out to be once again one of Biden's many, many lies, statements concerning me, where I turned out to be right and Biden turned out to be a liar. We're going to do a chart, Trump and I, one of these days, where it says, Biden lie, who's telling the truth? Trump and Giuliani. Biden lie, who's telling the truth? Trump and Giuliani.
You love showing this picture.
Yeah. Well, not hard beating a career criminal at something like that. And this one we got This one we got a nice shot of that. Oh, gee, it didn't play.
Oh, it is playing. It was playing.
Oh, did it play?
Yeah,
No, no, no.
it's a very still photo.
It's just it's sort of a video. It's sort of a video here.
Yeah, let it play in the background. It's nice. It looks really nice.
So how do I get that to play there?
It's playing.
Oh,
now you're zooming in. Yeah, now you're zooming out. Now you're zooming out. Now it's not playing.
But now you see it.
Yeah, but play it. It was nice when it was playing. It's kind of like a moving background, right?
Then we play it again.
Yeah. Yeah, keep that on. Now just keep it running. Oh, it just kind of stops now. That's good.
What? It's two different ones.
Oh, now let that run. Yeah, yeah. Keep this playing. See? Look at that. It's like a moving background. It adds to the.
That's about 3 miles from here, going north, Atlantic Ocean, right near the Palm Beach, right from the Palm Beach Country Club. That's where that's located. I do want to mention a teacher hero, if I may, Abby Werner, at Virginia School the other day, who got in the front of a 6-year-old who had a gun and took the shots and prevented the 6-year-old from shooting any of the children. It was a 9mm handgun that was given to the child by her mother, I believe, raised all kinds of issues, but it was Ricknick Elementary School where this happened. And she's quite a lady, don't you think, to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Shall we show her picture?
Yeah, please.
Can we focus on her picture? There's Abby. Maybe we should call Abby and possibly put her on the radio show or this show tomorrow. I was thinking of that.
I think that's a good idea.
You like it?
Yeah.
Like the picture?
Yeah.
So can you mark that down? We'll go for it. We'll put Abby on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was good.
That's great. Great. That's a good story, Mayor. Thanks for joining us, America's Mayor Live with America's Mayor Rudy
Sometimes
Giuliani.
you have to go with good stories. When I was the mayor, I would devote a good deal of time to praising the police officers and firefighters, particularly the police officers. I mean, I praise the firefighters a lot too, probably more, but maybe not. But the police officers, because they are not given the praise that they deserve. They're often not given the praise that the nature of the job. Actually, you're constantly getting positive reinforcement. You're going in, you're saving a baby, you're saving an old person, you're saving a healthy, whatever. Whereas a police officer, you're doing a lot of negative stuff. You're grabbing a drunk, you're grabbing a homeless person, you're grabbing a violator, an assault person doing an assault or a robbery, or we can go on and on and on and on, which we don't want to do if we don't have to. But the reality is, you've got to then, when they deliver a baby or they come in the middle of a robbery and save someone's life and put their own life at risk and get wounded or something, you got to make something of that. I mean, that's above and beyond even. It is, but putting your life at risk, it takes a special person. They are special people. You know, they really, really are. Now, a lot of people, are moving. You know that, right? And we were showing statistics about exodus from New York and from New Jersey to Florida and Texas. Now, Texas gets the most. Florida gets number 2. I should say the free state of Florida. And congratulations to Governor DeSantis, by the way. Runs a great state. And so did Governor Scott, and so did Governor Bush. They ran he inherited a really very well-run state, but made it even better. So congratulations to him. Now, if you're coming down to Florida, you should use my moving company. Moving company is the best moving company. Everybody says that about their moving company. But when I tell you who it is, you're going to have heard of them, I think, because they're certainly America famous, if not world famous. My moving company is Big John's. Big John's is superb. Big John's specializes in large moves, like from New York to Florida, where it's going to take, a couple of days. Big John's has a staff that has 30 years of experience with him. They don't do any subcontracting. They do local moves like they did for me, but they also do long distance and commercial moves, and that's where they really excel. They're competitive pricing, so they'll work with you with terms of the price based on the quotes you might have. They have very, very generous military discounts. They have a month of free storage on long distance, which they now are specializing in because they end up with so many of these that are, going to Florida. And what they do in going to Florida is they use a consistent crew. They don't hand off your stuff from one crew to another crew somewhere on the highway, which is how you get your furniture lost, your furniture broken. You got a very reliable group of people here. The people that move out of your house to Florida, move down to Georgia, and move things in. And they're long-term veterans of the Big John, very best moving company in New York. So you go to bigjohnsmoving.com/Rudy. If they know you come from me, they'll take even better. They're offering specials from to and from Texas and New York. I bet a lot of two. Texas and New York specials. It's bigjohnsmovingcompany.com. If you want to get them by phone, which you're going to need to do if you want to get a quote, 212-300. That's 212-734-3300. And if you want to take a look at the email situation, go to bigjohnsmoves@gmail.com. Big John Moves at Gmail. Big John's Moving Company, bigjohnsmoving.com, 212-734-3300. And get the best mover that we got to offer, certainly in the New York area. I'd say anything that's the best in New York. If you can make it here, you'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. Fentanyl. Yesterday, we had one that was really strange, really, really strange. We had we had a young guy, a young kid, high school age. He shouldn't be doing this, but still, he went and he got a vape, which they shouldn't be doing. And they had to have Narcan administered because he almost died from the fentanyl that was in the vape. Yeah, fentanyl in the vape. So you got to watch this now. Fentanyl, used to be in crack cocaine or cocaine, maybe in heroin. Now they stick it in marijuana. They stick it in over-the-counter products. They stick it in over-the-counter products that are sold, particularly on the black market. This is the time to get control of the drug situation because you could be taking what you think is a relatively benign drug, like one joint or something, and they'll just kill you. That's what happened with this kid. He didn't die, but he came very close. Narcan was used with him, and it got him through. So this is something that you have got to take a good look at, because Biden isn't going to help you here. All he's doing is acting like the hero of the cartels by the open border. 70,000 Americans are dying of fentanyl. 100,000 altogether. It's another one of the Biden record increases in crime in many of America's cities, in murder in particular. This is a disaster that we're going through. Just a disaster. One piece of good news, and that is the Federal Appeals Court ruled on Friday that the Biden administration vaccine mandate for U.S. government contractors is likely unlawful. On a preliminary injunction, they voted 2-1 to lift the preliminary injunction so that people aren't vaccinated. They go back to being free citizens who can make decisions about their body for themselves without the state, without the state that's telling them, you will have this vaccine. You have no choice but to have this vaccine. And this will be administered by Dr. Spiegelberger. Dr. Spiegelberger will introduce it to you. You want to see a great one? I don't know how many people saw this one, but here, let's give them one. What do you think of that one, Ted? At Mar-a-Lago the other day.
Let's bring this one up. Let's show folks what we have up here. So this is from Mar-a-Lago, which I can say, as someone who's visited a number of great clubs here in our this great country of ours, Mar-a-Lago, without a doubt, is the best club I've been to. The greatest, I mean, just the best meatloaf. If you ever have the opportunity to go, you have to have the meatloaf. And the staff, the service is second to none. And it's a club. It's a very, very
a lot of good people there.
It's a very
look. I saw Mr. Pillows there. So will you please get his Don sneaker? Not his sneakers. His he wants to set a record for selling slippers. The guy does a lot for us. He's one of our heroes on the right. We should do business with each other. Go to mypillows.com/Rudy. You get some great deals on pillows, on blankets. You get some great deals on.
Let's show this picture real quick.
On beautiful, beautiful slippers. Decent prices too. We got pictures too. We all have pictures from our. This is a semi-vacation for Dr. Maria and Ted and I.
Oh, you go down. You got one more. Go down one. You have a picture.
So here's one earlier. There's one. I would say that one was earlier in the day. See how nice it is?
Yeah.
That's notice sort of the green. That's the natural green tint in the water. It's not all blue. There's a little green in it. It's very nice. Cold, not that warm. Definitely cold.
Other way.
And then our trip. Then of course our trip to. Let's see if I can find a good one here. Our trip to
the farm.
To the farm.
There's you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There's a kangaroo.
There's our friend Sean. Of course, those of you that joined us last night, this video was taken from the farm, and these are kangaroos. Those of you watch last night's episode. You'll learn all about kangaroos and so many other animals. And of course, you can watch.
That's one of the lovable female kangaroos.
This one is. That's not Duke.
No, that's not Duke. No, Duke. Duke is a little more. How should I say? A little more rambunctious than that.
Oh, he's a big boy.
He's a big dude. He's like Corn Pop.
He's like Corn Pop. Duke versus Corn Pop. Who wins?
Corn Pop.
Well, Mayor, the fastest hour on the internet. We're already winding down and out of time.
Let me see if I covered all the things I wanted to get in today. Yeah, we got most of it. I got the fentanyl in. Yep. Yeah, we got it all in. This is all the information I wanted to make sure that you got, that you're not going to get elsewhere. We'll be back tomorrow. If the planes work for us, we'll be back from our home base of New York. And I don't know how that's going to change the nature of our show. Probably not that much. We have expanded our show quite a bit since we came down here with the television and the people we have on. So we're going to continue to do that. And we'll Sean is here giving a description of what these animals are like. And if you like more about animals, you let us know that, because we can give you a lot more. We may end up with a extra premium channel as well, where we can give you extra information on politics, on animals, on biology, on science, and on basically everything that because we just like to give out as much information as possible. That's part of our role, to get around the terrible censorship that's going on in this country.
That's right.
So the big stories of the day: Biden is getting caught with classified documents coming out of his you know what, and you know what must be enormously frustrating being his lawyer and saying, Joe, tell me, are there any more documents that are going to show up? I'm sure you get an answer like, what are documents? Ask President Harris. This guy is not all here. I don't say that with any delight. I say it as an American with great fear. And I say it as an American with a total lack of respect for the people that are allowing this to happen. It isn't right. Well, Ted, I think we're near the end. Go to rudygiulianics.com. Go to rudygiulianics.com. I ask you to do a favor for Mr. Pillows. Come on, get some pillows for him. You're doing yourself a favor with both Mr. Pillows and with Big John's. Go to patreonmobile.com if you want to get your phone service all fixed up so that you get a price that's a little more consistent with the inflation that's going on. Same darn great service. And you're helping a right-wing cause, a group of people who help fight for our right to life and our right for self-defense and our right of due process. So I'd like to see you really do that, if you would.
And maybe, Mayor, before we go, show from the animal adventure park and safari. So I thought tonight would be a more appropriate. 6 years ago, yesterday, we lost a true American hero, Patrolman Stephen McDonald of the NYPD. So he was he was shot in 1986. That left him as a quadriplegic.
I remember I was the U.S. attorney when he was shot. I was at his bedside. I was with him in church many times with his wife Patty and his son Sean, who's a police officer also. He was a great. He came to every single police funeral thereafter, including many after September 11, like I did. So I developed a real bond with him, and for the catastrophic injury, handsome, very brave young police officer, there was a decency about him that was inspiring, and a very strong sense of purpose, which gave him his great religious faith. Very close to Cardinal O'Connor, who really took both he and Patty and the family and his family of his own, and had them at every mass for police officers. And it was really a really good man who had to take on a burden that none of you would want to have. And he took on that burden for us, because that's what police officers do. So remember them in your prayers. I mean, there are a lot of people to remember, but police officers, special, very special people who do something nobody else does. They put their lives at risk every time they suit up. So remember them, pray to God for them. Do what I ask you to do, please, allowing you to be in America. You're so darn fortunate, and so am I. God bless America.